song was off a CD that I bought down in when I was down in Eugene a couple of weeks ago, and it's by Andy Anderson, and that the rap part of it was done by his son, Ben Anderson. And seeing the theme for this month is about love being safety, I figured that kind of fit in, maybe not necessarily for the talk today, but for the overarching theme of the month, and about love being everything. It's an interesting concept, you know, because love is in everything, and so in essence, love is everything. And the talk for today is we belong to each other. And when I first read that, I go, oh, okay, I don't know where they're going with this. But after sitting with it and going through the information and all that, and that's true. Because we belong to each other because of our oneness, because of our connection through our spiritual DNA. And as I've said it many times, and probably everybody here's heard it several times, that the way I believe we're all connected, to me I picture it as that beautiful golden thread that is woven in through us and onto the next and onto the next and the next and so on. And that's how I picture us being connected. We're connected through love. And there's I heard Rev Mykal talking before service about this thing on Netflix, this program called 9 Months of You. And it got me thinking, you know, it's if you get a chance to watch it, it's interesting. It's very extremely interesting. It goes from conception to birth, and how every part of your body is formed, and what happens if certain things don't go right, or if things do go right. And it was interesting through the whole series that we all come through that process. You know, each one of us, no matter what sex, color, creed, whatever. We all go through that same process from conception to birth. Now sometimes certain things don't happen, certain things don't fire, so there are differences within us, in us. We're born with, there's certain defects.
Or talents.
Or extra talents. And it was just an interesting thing to look at and to think about that. Yeah, we all come through this. So, in that respect, we're connected by that sense of the 9 months or 10 months, whatever it may be, or less sometimes. So we belong to each other. We're connected by consciousness, and we're connected by the love and common humanity. And Earnest Holmes said that we are happy when life flows through us into a creative self-expression. And this cannot happen when we judge ourselves or others. And I'm glad they put because a lot of times we always judge others and we forget about that. We judge ourselves, and we're our own worst critics. Or best critics, maybe if you want to put it that way. I know from experience that I'm my own worst critic, and that doesn't do us any good to constantly critique ourselves and criticize ourselves. And he also said when we so live that nothing goes from us but love, there will be no condemnation of ourselves or others. And that comes from a book called Words That Heal Today. And the idea, if we didn't judge and criticize each other and ourselves, what would social media have to talk about? What would the news have to talk about? Because if you look at all these different things, to me, a lot of what I see is constant criticism, constant judgment, and I'm just as guilty as the next person. But when we catch ourselves, we can step back and change that and rethink it. I know that's why I've been very careful on a lot of things that I post on like say Facebook, because I've done it before and I've been accused of being, you know, that's a little snarky for a minister, or, you know, just different things, you know. Yeah. And so, you know, so I try to watch what I rethink before I hit the button, you know. And sometimes with emails you have to do that a lot too. That's why one suggestion was take like a word form, write the letter or whatever you're going to write, especially if it's something that isn't real nice. And then you have to do several steps in order to send it by that. This way you can save it, or you can look at it and read and go through it again. And then if you feel you want to send it, you can put it in your email and send it. I did that one time years ago with my uncle. And this was a handwritten letter because we didn't have email at that time. And I was very irritated with him on how he was treating my mother, which is his sister. And I redid it, and it was still pretty strong by the time when I sent it, but I did rewrite it a few times and change some things, but I needed to voice my opinion. And sometimes when we want to voice our opinions, there's certain things that there's only one way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's it. You know, I mean, there's only one way to say something sometimes, and so if we can live in this place of not judging ourselves or others so much, then indeed there can be, you know, less condemnation of each other, because we do that so much. And then to be grateful, like in the poem, to be grateful whatever comes into our lives, or I like to say too, whoever comes into our lives. Because if you think back at people that have come into your life and things you have gotten from them, there are some people that may have come into your life for only a few minutes, for a very short period of time. But they have probably, in some ways, given you the most that you've received. They've given you a huge gift. No matter what it is. I know that I had somebody in my life for like 2 years, which sometimes can be a long time, and I had gotten a great deal out of it. I mean, it turned out to be a sad ending. However, when I look back, what I got out of it was one of the best things that ever happened in my life. So sometimes people, they don't have to be in our lives a lifetime. They may just breeze through. And yet what they give us, what we give them too, can be unbelievable. And so there is a thing here, because we do belong to each other, there's a part where we do have a responsibility for each other. And what is that responsibility in the world today? For us to assist, to help those who are suffering and are challenged in the world. Like earlier I spoke of the people that have been affected by the hurricanes and by the fires and the floods and all the devastation basically that's happened. Fortunately, I feel very fortunate. We live here where, you know, the only thing we have to worry about is an earthquake, which, you know, that's nothing to laugh about. But some of these places, like the Midwest, they have the tornadoes that rip through there, and then the Southeast, and they have the hurricanes, and then like even Eastern Washington here, we had the fires, which we received some of the effects, you know, smoke and the ash and that, but we weren't burning. So how do we choose who to help? I mean, we can get dodged and bombarded in the mail, emails, phone calls, by all these organizations that are seeking help in the name of helping, these people. And sometimes it's valid and sometimes it's not. I mean, there are people there are big scam artists that come in on the tails of these things, and they see an opportunity to get money. So how are we to know, if these are we don't know. Well, we're not necessarily. We can do our due diligence and check them out before automatically saying, okay, here's my credit card number, here's my bank account, here, take it all. So we need to do that, to protect ourselves for one thing. And then we all have needs in this life. And there's a quote here from Marshall Rosenberg, who is the founder of Nonviolent Communication. And he says, regardless of our many differences, we all have the same needs. What differs in the strategy for filling these needs, criticism, judgment, and violence are all tragic expressions of unmet needs. So it's how the needs are fulfilled. We all need housing. We all need food. We all need love. We all want that. And there's many other things that we need and desire, but the needs that are common to all of us. Clean air, clean water. So what action do we take when someone comes knocking on our door? And it came to me this morning as like the knocking on the door, and the one picture I get is, I'm quite sure everybody's seen the picture of Jesus knocking on the door. And I love that picture. And my first partner had bought it for his mother, and she didn't like it because she thought that was Jesus coming to take her home. And she wasn't ready to go yet. I said, well, when I look at it, and that was Jesus knocking on our hearts to let Spirit come in, open our hearts to Spirit. And what is Spirit? Spirit's all around us. Spirit is every person out there that needs assistance in having their needs met. So one is we need to listen to that knock. Listening, in the one sense, in a lot of ways, is underrated. Listening is a very powerful tool. Because there's many people in this world, like you get the people, like say, standing along the freeway asking for money, or other places asking for money. And what do we do a lot of times? I know I'm guilty of it. We kind of walk the other, turn our heads and walk the other way, or ignore totally. And sometimes, people, and not only them, but others that are marginalized, they need to be seen. They need to be heard. People need to be respected and honored. I mean, those are actually very simple things. To listen to what the people, need. Sometimes they don't know what they need. Sometimes we don't know. I don't know what I need. Especially like when, say, somebody dies and people, your friends are trying to help you and say, what do you need? In that state, you really don't know exactly what you need. And it's really hard to verbalize it when you don't know it. It's one of those things that is challenging, and you have to move through it. But we need to, when we're looking at these people, I hate that. These people. When we look at people in general, we need to look beyond the appearances. We need to look beyond the behavior and the criticisms. We need to look at them as one of those people that we want to invite in. Not necessarily into our houses, because there are some people I don't want to invite into my house. But invite them into your heart, into your consciousness, just into your loving nature. To recognize the oneness. I got a singer from back there, but I'm not sure what you mean. Ah, okay. Ah, interesting. To recognize the oneness, you know, because if we are all connected, then in essence, even though there are some people I know on this planet that we probably don't want to claim that we're connected to, by God, we are. It's a hard thing to admit sometimes, and to feel and to embrace that we are connected. And then the next thing is to answer that knock. The question comes up, you know, is it ours to answer? When somebody calls and asks for, you know, for money and things like that, there are other ways we can support. Like at the center here, we support, you know, different organizations. And our latest one that we have been supporting for not quite, about a year maybe, is the Baby Watoto. And they're in Africa. And it's for the children, the babies actually, because you can support different arenas, or you can just send money to support the whole thing. But we chose to support the babies, so that the babies actually might have a chance to survive in the world. And this is, you know, this is a Christian organization, but who cares? What if they pray differently than we do, or it doesn't make any difference? We want to support these babies so that they will have a chance in the world, so that they can be fed and cared for and housed. So we need to ask, what is ours, what knocks are ours to answer? And one of the ways to do that is to listen with your heart. To, you know, sometimes you just have to be still and say, okay, I'll get back to you, or, you know, whatever process you have to do, because sometimes I know when certain things come up with me, I have to sit and I have to take it in. Being an introvert, I think that's one of the things we do, is we have to take things in and sit with them. And I have to do that a lot with a lot of different things. And a lot of times my initial yes or no changes after I've sat with it and I've become still and I listen to what the heart is saying, or what the inner voice is saying. And listen to the heart, and not the defensiveness or the fear. Because there's so much fear in this world. There's so much fear being instilled, if we allow it to be in us, that if we listen to the heart, that fear and that defensiveness, I get very defensive. I'm a very skeptical person. Wouldn't you say? I'm a little skeptical. It's because a lot of times I feel somebody, they're out to get, you know. They're out to get me. All they want is the money, you know. And that happens sometimes. We have somebody in the family that's gotten taken for a good chunk of money because she has a kind heart. And it hasn't been money that's gone to good places. You know, you could say that. Well, I suppose the people that got the money said it went to good places, but these scams took her for a good chunk of money. So we have to listen with our heart, and without the skepticism, without the defensiveness, without the fear. Although listening so that we also protect ourselves as well as assisting others. And then we have to remember too, the next step is that the universe also answers our knock. When we knock on the door. Like Jesus said, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you shall find, and knock and it shall be open unto you. It's for, it says basically, for everyone who asks, you receive. Sometimes it doesn't show up the exact way that we think it should show up. Sometimes we may want something and you're going to get something better. That's why when we teach the 5-step prayer or whatever, you can always throw in there, this or something better. Because the universe, the divine, God, whichever you want to call it, sometimes knows a little bit better. You may want something, small. And yet, you may get something bigger. You're going to turn it back in? I doubt if I would. But sometimes the universe does know better.
Well, the universe always knows better.
Well, always knows better, yes, okay. I guess I have to throw that sometimes in there, because sometimes I think I know exactly.
I have learned so much that I don't.
That just like in this a discussion we're having after.
Just when you think you do, you just...
Was it after service last week? We're having a discussion about, where we, as a country, sometimes we stick our noses where it doesn't belong. That we know better how everybody else should live.
Well, we're so used to doing that.
I know, but we are so, I know. Can't go there. I did, but I did go there, but I wasn't going to go there. But no, sometimes in individual lives, we sometimes think we know better what's good for other people. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is. That person a lot of times has to decide for themselves if they desire this, if they need this, if they want it. And so sometimes we have to take, when the universe is knocking, when we're knocking on the door, sometimes we don't know what we want. For sure. Sometimes we do. Sometimes it's very clear. But sometimes I don't know what I want or I need. And so we have to sit or just take that again and be still. And ask, what is it I need? What is it I want? I know when doing like certain workshops and then you come up and there's the whole thing, what do you want? What do you this and that? That, in the moment, I can't answer a lot of times. Once in a while I can, but I have to, again, take it in and listen to the inner voice, allow myself to do all the processes I have to do, and then come up with what I need, or what I want. And then we can take and create an intention, or a prayer around it. And also do that, this or something better, something greater. And again, it may not look or sound like what we thought it should. You may want a red car. You may end up with a blue one, and it might be the best car you ever had. It's just that we have to be open. Like Earnest Holmes says, open at the top. We have to be open to the possibility, to all possibilities. What we want, what we desire, it's ours. And then we need to just focus on the experience that we want to have. That's always an interesting question when somebody's asking for prayer support, and then you ask them, what's the experience? And sometimes to me, is the more interesting part, because it's what you want to experience from that, what you're asking for that job, for that car, for that house, for that mate, that thing that you want to experience, because to me that's a lot what it's all about, is the experience, what you want to get out of it. And so sometimes we just want something new, or we need a shift in our life somewhere. And that's what we need to ask for. In religious science, you say what you are seeking is also seeking you. And sometimes that's really so true. And it's open the door and invite life in, because life is waiting for you. And in that poem, I love that poem. It was, invite them in because they're guides, and those are all aspects of you. That what he read about the joy, the depression, the meanness. I don't know how many have seen that movie, Inside Out, which, when we first saw it, to me, it's an animated movie, kids movie, right? Well, I think a lot of adults should look at that movie, because all of the feelings, we try to suppress some of the feelings, the anger, the hate, all this, they're all part of us. And we need to experience them all to be whole. And so invite those things in. And always be grateful for what or who shows up. So coming back to the three things is listen to the knock. It's okay to listen. And it's a good thing to listen to others, and to yourself, to what you want. And then answer the knock, if it's yours to answer. If not, it'll go away. It may answer, it may knock again. And then the third thing is to realize and accept and embrace that the universe also answers your knock. Because we're all connected and we all belong to each other. And the universe is there for us to use the power in the universe and to be used by that power. And so it is.